Welcome to the 60-day overnight turbo dispute program, where we're going to remove your negative items, help you rebuild your credit file, get that credit score where it needs to be, and it's only going to be in 60 days. Guaranteed. What? Can we do that one again? Dude, that does not exist. If it did, I would be that first person to throw my hands up and say, you know what? Screw the factual disputes, screw the manual process. I have the answer that everybody's looking for. 68 million people. And guess what? I would go bang on every single door of every single realtor, of every single loan officer, of every single dealership in the freaking world. And I would be a gazillionaire. Why? Because there's 68 million people who need that solution, right? Go back to the pandemic. What happened? 6 million people, record high, ever in history, ever recorded, stopped paying their mortgages, right? And then let's not even talk about the 14 million people who didn't pay for their credit cards, right? So these are the things that people don't want to hear, because the only place that this 60 days and 30 days and 14 days and 7 days and all that kind of stuff lives at is right here on YouTube. The only person that this affects is you, right? So ask yourself this question. How much do you think? How much do you personally think as a consumer? How much do you think that you would be paying if that were really true? If you really had someone who can make that happen, do you think it would be 40 bucks? Do you think it would be $60? Do you think that it would be, I don't know, $139? Or do you think that it would cost so much money that you would have to pay for it on the back end of whatever loan that you got? Because it would be like, what, $25,000? Don't you think that people would be cashing in on that? Don't you think they would be weaponized? And yes, we're totally going to talk about something else, but right now, this is what we're talking about. And I'm actually going to share an article, right? An article about a brief that came out about something that you really need to know about. And I'm going to share my screen and we're going to go over that. But let's just talk about this for a second, right? Rounds, the word rounds. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, when you send out a letter to the credit bureau, we call it a round, right? And if you know anything about boxing or MMA, those are also rounds, right? So this is the way that I like to think about it, where you're going in and you're locked in either the octagon or you're in the ring, and we have to go rounds. We win, they win, we win, they win, we win, then. And there's a winner at the end. And obviously there's a loser, right? So we have to go into this process thinking of it as rounds, okay? And that is like the perfect way to think about this. Now, yes, I get a little bit overt and excited and all of that, but nobody else is talking about this. And you, my friend, are the only one who is either going to benefit from this or is going to get hurt by this. Because again, I don't get a kickback when you get your loan. I don't get a kickback when you get your house. I don't even get invited over because most of the time you live on the other side of the country, right? I barely get a like after I go and I change your life. And yes, that's exactly what it is. So think about it this way. For you to be able to go and change your life, are you going to pay $78, $139, $40, $199 for 30 days? Or $278 for 60 days? And in those 60 days, you're going to go and build your credit, remove your negatives, go and get your house or your loan and all of that. And you're only going to have paid just a little bit. Don't you think that this would be a different process? Don't you think that these creditors, these lenders, they would weaponize it? Not only would they weaponize it, but thinking as a lender, they would more than likely stop this entire process, right? Because all you have to do is go and obtain some sort of loan somewhere, right? And then you don't have to pay for it. And then all you have to do is submit 1 or 2 rounds of disputes. And wham, bam, thank you, ma'am. Overnight, it's off with this 60-day overnight turbo dispute program, right? If you were a lender, wouldn't you stop lending because you wouldn't be able to trust the credit reporting process? You need to know that when you go and you pull someone's credit report, that the information on their financial rap sheet is legitimate, that it's accurate, that it's correct, that you can trust this, right? And if you can't, then what business do you have staying in this business? I mean, it's like a conglomerate of people that come together with all this money, so much money that their children are going to be able to have money, right? So they have just globs of money, and they come together and they're like, hey, you know what? We're going to start this, or we're going to start that. We're going to open this bank. We're going to do this, right? So they already have sat down and thought about the entire process and the risk and all that that's associated with it. So they already know that you're going to be able to, remove some stuff from your credit report, but they also know that it's only a handful of consumers out of like 1,000, right? Just using a smaller number for understanding purposes, that it's like out of 1,000 people, it's only a handful of them that are legitimately going to stick it out with the process, because it is a process, and go through with it and remove the negative items, right? And now, talking about lenders, and now they even think that they don't have to do anything. And I'm going to prove that to you right now. I'm going to share my screen and I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with this. And I'm going to show you exactly what I'm talking about with this, all right? Now, first thing that I want for you to do is to smash that like, right? Why do I want you to smash that like? Well, it tells Google, it tells YouTube, it tells other people that you like the information that I'm giving you, that you find it valuable, and that you want to come back. And so it's actually, they're going to share this with other people such as yourself, such as me, who could really, really use it, right? That is why I want you to smash that like. Now, you're also going to want to subscribe if you haven't done so, because, well, I come out with stuff that is going to help you credit-wise, finance-wise, okay? So I'm going to share my screen, but before I do that, you can go and schedule a call with me to see if I can help you legitimately, in a realistic period of time, remove your negative items, your collections, your foreclosures, your repossessions, blah, 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 okay? So let's go share my screen, and I'm going to show you exactamente what I'm talking about. So we're going to go over here where the FTC, the CFPB submit a brief defending the consumer's ability to dispute inaccurate items on credit reports, okay? So this brief calls for reversing lower court's ruling in Ingram versus Experian that allows furnishers to ignore their duty to investigate disputes. So if you think that they are here to help you to legitimately remove the stuff from your credit report because they want to, then you are 100% totally off your rocker, okay? Their job, Experian and Equifax and TransUnion and these collectors and these lenders and data furnishers, whatever, they're all in bed together, and their job is to keep the stuff on your credit report because it's going to make them money. Now let's go over this together. The Federal Trade Commission joined the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau in filing a brief with the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Third District in the case of Ingram versus Experian. The brief asks the appeals court to overturn a lower court's decision that could create an exception to the FCRA, allowing furnishers of credit information to decline to investigate when consumers dispute inaccurate information in certain circumstances. Now, another word that we want to look at here is the appeals court. We talked about this the other day. What am I talking about? Well, with the appeals court, they're the ones that are kind of at the end of the line, kind of like going to the CFPB. You don't go to the CFPB on round one. You don't go to the CFPB on round two. No, they are at the end of the road. So for those companies and these people and these videos and whatever that are telling you to jump to the CFPB prior to exhausting your remedies, dude, that is clickbait. They are literally only trying to tell you this so that you can go and buy something from them. Oh my God, this process works. My turbo dispute process 60 days overnight. Oh my God. No, dude, you should not be doing that. And you are the only one that is going to be hurt by this, because when you finally do have the ability to go to them, because now you do have a paper trail, you're going to be ignored. You see this button right here? Again, it says delete. That's going to be what happens when you finally go to them, okay? So the brief argues again that this holding could undercut a key protection provided by the FCRA that allows consumers to dispute and correct inaccurate information in their credit reports. The law gives consumers a right to dispute inaccurate information and have their claim investigated, right? So the FTC CFPB brief rejects the argument there are circumstances when furnishers do not have to follow the law. Now, why do we have these laws? Well, these laws are they're not really meant to protect us. They're meant to keep them in place. But again, these are just guidelines. As you can see, we already have the FCRA in place. We already have the FCBA in place. We already have the FDC in place. FDCPA in place, right? So what does that mean? That means that they did stuff They weren't supposed to, so they made rules and regulations and laws about it, right? That they're supposed to follow. Obviously, they don't, because things like this happen. Lawsuits happen, right? And then they have to go and submit these briefs and decline to do this and get lower courts to do that and bigger courts to do this and go to the appellate division and all of that. Why? Because they're in the business of making money off of your information, and they don't feel that they have to do their job. Just look at Cushman versus TransUnion from 1997. Okay. So these are the things that you need to be thinking about and understand, that this is a process, and this process was not meant for us, but we have a due process to be able to dispute inaccurate information on our credit report, and the FTC and the CFPB uphold this decision. And you're right. Okay. So the FCRA provides consumers with two avenues for disputing the inaccuracy of their credit report, right? Either directly with the furnisher or with the credit bureaus. Okay. Consumers can file a direct dispute. That would be a Section 623 dispute, or indirectly with the bureaus, which may refer to, they then go and send it over to the data furnisher, right? And you're also going to learn something here as well. Maybe some of you already know this, but I'm betting that most of you don't. So the FTC and the CFPB brief relates to a case involving a request made by a consumer to a furnisher, Comcast, to remove an account from his credit report that was listed as delinquent. The consumer reported to Comcast that he was a victim of identity theft and did not open the account. Now, here's the deal. Comcast rejected this claim after it said that the consumer failed to submit proof of his identity theft, and later referred to the matter to a debt collector, right? The consumer later made what is considered an indirect dispute by disputing the delinquent account with the credit reporting agency Experian, which then submitted the dispute to the debt collector as the furnisher of the inaccurate information, right? Now, in response to litigation from the consumer, the lower court ruled in favor of the debt collector, right? Let's read that again. The lower court ruled in favor of the debt collector, saying that the furnisher is only obligated to investigate bona fide indirect disputes, and may therefore decline to investigate any dispute it deemed frivolous. Now, I don't know about you, but if I were a data furnisher or a lender or someone that reports to the credit bureaus, I would say that nothing is bona fide and that everything should be deemed frivolous, because that would take away my duty in having to investigate, right? Well, the FTC and the CFPB, however, say that the lower court erred, arguing in the brief that furnishers are required to investigate, right? Furnishers are required to investigate. The brief argues that there was nothing in the text of the FCRA that suggests that a furnisher can choose not to investigate indirect disputes if it deems them not to be bona fide, meaning that regardless of whether they believe you or not, they have to investigate. And the statutory text is unambiguous, meaning that it is 100% clear. Furnishers must investigate all indirect disputes according to the brief, right? Now, consumers would be left in the dark. So under the FCRA, consumers are entitled to be notified about the outcome of their disputes and must be given an opportunity to address any problems with their dispute claims, right? So the district court's ruling would circumvent those requirements, leaving consumers in the dark and undercutting a central remedy under the FCRA that ensures consumers are able to dispute and correct inaccurate information on their credit report, right? And the exception is unnecessary. So here's the deal. The exception created by the lower court's decision is unnecessary because furnishers are already protected in other ways from having to investigate a frivolous dispute. For example, the FCRA requires credit reporting agencies to determine if a dispute is frivolous before forwarding a dispute to the furnisher. Now, I bet you didn't know that. And if you did, hey, thumbs up to you, man. Definitely thumbs up to you, because you've been doing your studying, right? Now, so what does this mean for you? This is actually really, really simple. What this means for you is that, dude, this is a process, but you can go through this process and dispute inaccurate information on your credit report, get it removed, and, if it can, obviously, and if it's truly inaccurate, and they do actually have to investigate this, if it's direct or indirect, okay? So Why did we start this way? Well, we started this way because it's a process, right? And people don't want to get around this thing of, oh, it's not overnight, it's not fast, it's not this, it's not that, when the truth of it is, what do you think this industry, what do you think the economy, what do you think this entire everything would be like if it were overnight? If all you had to do was send one letter, one round, two rounds, and wham bam, thank you ma'am, all your dreams come true. Mm-mm. 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 You know as well as anybody else that if it were like that, that would be the entire collapse of everything, right? The entire economy would go down the drain. And, I don't mean to laugh. I'm not, judging you. I'm not trying to make, you feel like I'm belittling you. I am, however, going to be the one that is going to be apart from everybody else, just as I've always been for the 8 years that I've been here, telling you it is not easy. Yes, it is difficult, but when it is done the right way, when you invest in yourself, that you can remove these. Whoever said that taking the time to put into your credit to actually move on and get your scores where they need to be so you can get the houses that you want and the cars that you want and the better credit that you want and the lifestyle that you want, that anything was wrong with that? And no, I'm not talking about 12 months. I'm not talking about 100 years. I am saying, 6 to 9 months, depending on what you have. Is it easier now? No, it's more difficult. Prior to the pandemic, man, 6 months, you're out the door, right? But now it's not like that. And with things getting more and more difficult, you have more and more people over here saying, oh, it's so simple. It's so simple. Look at this. And oh, my 800s. Dude, I can bet you, and there's nothing wrong with this, but I'm not, look, I'm not making videos in my mom's basement, okay? This is my house and this is my office. Actually, this is my bar right here in my office where I meet my clients one to one. So, yeah, not mom's basement, okay? But I could also bet you that these people that are doing, oh, ooh, 800s, and oh my God, those were taken from Google, all right? That's number one. And number two, they don't even have an 800 score. They don't even have merchant accounts. They probably don't even pay their taxes, okay? Like, I have a real credit repair merchant account, which means that I obviously deliver everything that I say that I do. And I've been doing this for 8 years, and I've been awarded best debt relief services every single year since 2015. So that should tell you something. And I actually have credentials. I actually went to school. I actually did this. Dude, I don't even want to go into everything that I do that nobody else does, okay? But if you want to remove negative items from your credit report, then there is a very specific way that you can do it. And it's not with templates. It's not with trying to force them pursuant to section 609 and blah, blah, blah. No, dude, that's not the way. It's not identity theft, and it's not calling in your disputes, and it's not doing any of that stuff. It is factual based disputes. That is the way that you can use their own reporting against them with some USC codes to get these things permanently removed. All right. Now, obviously, the link is on your screen if you want to see if I can do it for you. But again, wake up. It is not getting easier. It is getting more difficult. And the only people who want you to believe that this is simple are the same people who want to get into your wallet. And that is not me, which is why we set up the call, because I choose you for the program. And obviously, it's up to you to stay in the program because I don't lock you in, right? But is this the end of the road for you? No. Is there a way to remove these things from your credit report? Yes. Is it going to be simple? No. Is it guaranteed? No. Nobody can force the bureau's creditors or collectors to do anything. And if they did, well, shit. $25,000. Hand it over. Oh, you don't have $25,000? You can't afford that? Well, look, if I had that magic wand, like I said before, if I had that magic wand to be able to give you exactly what you want, honey, you would not be able to afford it. So, and no, I'm not saying anything about financially, but dude, it would cost $25,000, $50,000 to be able to do that. Like, you're going to go and get a loan and have to pay me, all of it basically, right? Just because I got you there. There's no magic wand. This is just a pen from my Wacom tablet. See? My Wacom tablet. So I can like draw pretty things while I'm doing videos. Other than that, that stuff only exists right here on YouTube. And I'm the one that's been here for 8 years showing you the real way to do it, the real way to get deletions, the real way to remove 400 collections from your credit report and remove, bankruptcy on all three bureaus and a ton of different charge-offs, because that's what I do. I take people from 398 credit scores up to 750, okay? But it takes time. It takes time to remove all those collections and charge-offs and repos and collections and late payments and all that kind of stuff. It takes time to get you from the 300s to the 700s. But honey, it will work as long as you work it and as long as you allow it to work, okay? Because the bureaus are going to frustrate you. They're going to make it so that you want to stop. And the only person who's going to make you stop is you when you don't hear from them, right? When you get all frustrated because, oh, they're not responding and they're not doing, I don't need them to respond. Everything that I need is right on your credit report. Other than that, I could care less what they do. I can see whether they verified something, whether they investigated, whether they responded, whether they lied and said that they verified, but they didn't actually do an investigation, right? I see everything that I need from there. So I don't even need them to respond. I don't want them to respond. And I would rather you be pissed off that I'm doing everything that I could possibly do and they're just not responding than telling you, oh, we're not going to dispute because we're waiting for them to respond to the first round of disputes. No. So if you get with a company that is waiting for you or waiting for the bureaus or waiting for anything to be able to do anything, then you need to cut ties and move on with your life and do it the right way. They should be disputing all your negative items. They should be doing all three bureaus. They should be using custom factual disputes or Metro 2 or, USC codes or, a mixture of that, right? All factual though, right? And you should be seeing what they're sending out. All right. So if not, then you got a problem and you need to fix it because you're not going to get those results because you are just putting money in their pocket. All right. So that is it for tonight. There is no 60-day overnight turbo dispute program. And if there were, I would be the first person to offer it to you, but it would be expensive. So I'm going to see you later. I will see you tomorrow. Have a great one. And that is it.